Hey guys, what's up? This is Teddy Macedo, aka bearRimshot's speaking. Sincere apologies for not uploading as much content as I wanted to, I will say. Anyways, today I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on D23 Expo of 2022. Okay then. Now, first off, let's talk about the video games. Something I'm happy to see coming from Disney in terms of their take on video games is that, we're getting a new Tron game coming out soon. We are getting a new Mickey Mouse game for the first time in a while. And I think it's great to see various classic Star Wars games and the original Lego Marvel game breathing new life on the Nintendo Switch. And I think it's great to see Sora finally make his way as a fighter in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Yeah. And, some other, and, what else is to hear about, D23 this year? Oh, yes, right. Now, if I were to be honest on how life as a Disney fan as of lately, well, yes, I do use Disney Plus to stream stuff when I want to, so to speak. As for what I've been watching Disney Plus personally, well, it would be where I would do my Star Wars TV marathon, which I'm still on the Clone Wars at the moment. So in the beginning of season 3 of it, though I have watched Tales of the Jedi. Though when it comes to one show on Disney Plus, I recently came out with good things about the show. Well, funny enough, as we speak, I will watch it one day once I get through Clone Wars and Rebels. Though I will admit, I did kind of cheat by watching Tales of the Jedi, which I also enjoyed as well. As we so to speak. I've also been watching Olaf Presents. Wish to see Disney make more of that when they want to, so to speak. And, did recently watch the latest documentary on Mickey Mouse. I'm surprised they didn't bother speaking about House of Mouse. I will say otherwise, I've learned a lot regarding Mickey Mouse nevertheless, so to speak. And, before I close off this video, there are some things regarding Disney D23 that needs to be, Disney in general, my love for Disney in general, that needs to be addressed. If you may recall in the last update vlog, while gushing on Ralph Breaks the Internet, I did admittingly complain of how big no-shows in layman's terms with Shrek and Mario were in Ralph Breaks the Internet, both of which I got lashed out on. Now, when it comes to first off, let's talk about Shrek. Well, yes, it may have been true that he did start out, that he was originally made in the first place as a middle finger to Disney. However, when it comes down to the idea of Disney themselves actually getting away use of DreamWorks characters when they so want to, things can change here and there. Just like what happened between Disney and Warner Brothers. In fact, as you can see, that not too long ago, earlier this year, Disney did release a movie based on based on a classic Disney afternoon TV show you may know best as Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, which had DreamWorks characters. So yeah, I get where you're going here when it comes to Shrek, but things have changed since 2018 has passed with DreamWorks. Just like with Warner Brothers and Don Bluth, things have changed more so with Warner Brothers. Things have changed in DreamWorks. Like, for example, the DreamWorks where they are today is not the same as, say, back when it first formed in 1994 by Jeffrey Katzenberg, Steven Spielberg, and David Geffen. I mean, yes, DreamWorks did pretty much exist because when the founders of the company, Jeffrey Katzenberg, wasn't liking of how that was being. Jeffrey Katzenberg was being, in layman's terms, more mental syndrome over when Michael Eisner did not want to promote him as president in spite of what was happening to Frank Wells at the time. On Easter 1994, Walt Disney on there was being able to release The Lion King, where Frank Wells died in a helicopter crash. But yeah. Yeah, the DreamWorks where they are now, they're now owned by a corporate company you may know best as Universal. Of course, ever since fresh out of releasing Sinbad Legends of 7 Seasons, where all number of changes would occur to DreamWorks Animation in general, with the animation studio separated from the live action studio. And then after fresh out of releasing Shrek 2, Shark Tale, there's a Madagascar movie, and Wallace and Gromit, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, it would be where DreamWorks would then work with Paramount, starting with Over the Hedge. And then by the time we hit The Croods is where DreamWorks would work with Fox long before Fox got bought out by Disney. And then in 2018, DreamWorks got bought out by Universal. So that is clearly saying much of how that, Disney did get away including some DreamWorks characters for the Rescue Rangers movie that recently came out. And regarding, Mario, I will say, yes, sure, we already all got a new Mario movie coming out soon, released under Illumination, owned by Universal. However, in spite of that, as well as how big of a quote-unquote no-show Mario was in Ralph Breaks the Internet, alongside Peach, Waluigi, Link, and Captain Falcon, as well as Fox McCloud. Not only does Disney carry such a long history working with Nintendo, but also, even though it's a shame we didn't get to see Mario show up in Ralph Breaks the Internet, the long history relationship between Disney and Nintendo is still going strong. In fact, as you can see, not only did we all get to see Sora pop up in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but also, we got to see Disney's we got to see such games based on Disney IP, such as with the likes of Disney Tsum Tsum Festival and Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 being released on the Nintendo Switch, with Disney Tsum Tsum Festival being my favorite Disney game to play if I had to pick one. And on top of that, we also all got to see, we also got to see such games like Disney Dreamlight Valley, and Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga also seeing Switch releases, as well as seeing such games like the original Lego Marvel game and various classic Star Wars games coming to Nintendo Switch, such as Star Wars Racer, the last two Jedi Knight games, as well as The Force Unleashed. And hopefully we get to see more classic Star Wars games come to Switch soon. And yeah. And and also yeah. Now when it comes now as you can tell, as I make more content like this one, I want to, with the case of, why I'm doing videos like, in another D23 vlog. Well, it's the same exact reason why I would make more transformation prayers on my YouTube channel, which will still happen one way or another. But yeah, now one last thing that needs to be addressed is this. While yes, it's no secret that I love Disney, however, no Onyx Banerjee, never do I think everything Disney does in life is all pitch perfect. I mean, yes, I may have liked a large library of content Disney did in life over the years. Though I'm not gonna lie about myself when I say this, that not only have there been business decisions Disney made that I can be disagreeing on when I want to, but also I'm also not gonna lie about myself. There have been pieces of content Disney gave us in life like them that, that really did not click with me personally compared to the rest. Like, I would ultimately be lying about myself if I did not speak up about myself by now that I'm really not a fan of the idea of Disney producing live-action remakes of their animated classics. I mean, yeah, sure, there are some that I will admit I can be appreciative compared to others when I want to. And on top of that, I will give some of them like them this of how responsible they can be in inspiring me to do Disney feast screenings at my local Alamo Draft House when I want to, with The Lion King as the final straw in this. And, yeah. And, if I legally could, and then of course, there are some Disney sequels that really didn't click with me personally compared to others, all of which I'm sure we can all agree sucked, like Return to Jafar, Mulan 2, Beauty and the Beast, Belle's Magical World, and The Fox and the Hound 2. And can see where Morgan is going regarding Atlantis Milo's return. I mean, when it comes to the idea of an Atlantis sequel, it's kind of a shame that we got Milo's return as opposed to, say, Shards of Chaos and the Team Atlantis show, but yeah. And though of course I will admit I did enjoy Atlantis: The Lost Empire, I will say. And then of course, my top two least favorite films of the Disney animated canon would be simple for me to say. Chicken Little at the top, and Home on the Range second as least favorite Disney animated canon movies were concerned. And then, of course, you got Mars Needs Moms, that also did not click with me personally, especially coming from being as somebody who is not a fan of broccoli. Yeah, not gonna lie about myself. I say this. I never really liked broccoli personally, at least a taste of it. But if you like it, and the same can also be said about cauliflower, as I always say, it's your taste buds. And so if I were to be honest about my really real least favorite animated Disney movie, it's also my really real least favorite George Lucas production. It would be an animated movie released in 2015 called Strange Magic. Another Disney movie that also personally did not click with me personally would be a live action movie released back in the 80s called Never Cry Wolf. And if you know me very well, especially in terms of my actual sexual orientation, no matter how big of a Christian you can be with me when you so want to be, you get the idea why that is so, unless you're a Zuchi Guardian. Now, if you know me very well, then you know I'm straight. You can tell I'm straight for I'm more in love. I'm more sexually in love with women. Hence, how you can very well understand of how that it is our policy here at Macedo Productions, anyways, to not engage in male nudity in any project that we would work on. Hence why, yeah, and I will say this, that it's a good thing to see my strict no male nudity rule for all my personal projects we worked in to also be implied for epic battles as well too. Like, how can I see that it's a good thing? Well, me, you get, I'm straight, so and the now something one of those things about epic battles, as it is, I had to get used to is regarding the use of My Little Pony characters, which I know I always say how much I never thought it would happen, but it happened anyways. But even with the continuous use of My Little Pony characters for epic battles, still does not change my mind that I'm still straight, regardless where I go with my creative life. But yeah. But yeah. Yep. And yeah, thank God that when it comes to Never Cry Wolf, I do not have to worry about considering. I mean, while we can all go on all day on movies to watch on Disney Plus, or movies that are Disney owned either way for that matter, that can be deserving to be given the Epic Battles fee screening treatment, that, that Never Cry Wolf would not be one of them. Another movie that Disney owns that wouldn't be deserving of an Epic Battles fee screening would be one called Die Hard, if that name sounds familiar. I mean, don't get me wrong, I wanted to see Die Hard in theaters if I could, but the downside is, well, the only reason why it wouldn't make sense to do an Epic Battles fee screening of Die Hard is because, as the name implies of the movie, that if my calculations are correct about Die Hard, that there's a lot of killing in this movie, and anyone who I know who luckily did get to see Epic Battles will tell you as well as me of how that there'll be a strict no death rule made for these movies, Yeah. So of course, if I were to do an Epic Battles feast if we were to do an Epic Battles feast of a Christmas movie, where there's a Fox title, we would do one for that. Both of which I will say will be both of which are based on Dr. Seuss books, with How the Grinch Stole Christmas for the Christmas side of things, and Horse Hears Who for the Fox side of things. But yeah. And another thing that, Disney did that person, and yeah, there are business decisions, and yes, there are business decisions Disney made in life I can be disagreeing on when I so want to be. Like, something I've always been discontent with Disney, especially where they can be in recent memory, would be their take on repertory screenings. But yeah, the idea of the Disney Vault of all things is just silly in my opinion, because think about it. I mean, coming soon on, do stay tuned on Casualty's bearRimshot's, where, I will be making an episode addressing why I think it would make sense for Disney, to take advantage of the theatrical market. I don't just mean put out new content, but also while still being allowed to do that and work on other fields like streaming, home media, theme parks, or whatever the fridge they can do best when they want to, as well as video games too. The theatrical let movie theaters, including not just the Alamo Drafthouse as a worst offender in this, but also Fathom Events, to do more repertory screens of whatever the fridge Disney gets their hands on, including their own original content, both animation and live action, like Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, and now that they own Fox, same should also be said about Fox as well too. It's kind of a shame that even up to this day, while we're now in 2022, that Disney is still playing things harsh on movie theaters like them when they want to be. I mean, granted, there is Nighthawk that do get away in doing general public screenings of Disney-owned titles, as they did Ratatouille, Die Hard, Home Alone, as well as whatchamacallit. Oh yes, right. The first two Star Wars films, as in the first ones of the original trilogy, like Star Wars Episode 4 Hope and The Empire Strikes Back. If you get what the fridge I'm talking about, and yeah. And got away in doing a screening of Black Panther. I mean, granted, granted as we speak, no. I mean, granted, there have been moments when Disney, in spite of their said stance on repertory screenings, did play things nice when they so want to. Not just with more so with Nighthawk when we speak about Over Here in New York, but also New York, during Halloween season, that it would always be common for Disney to still continuously play things nice, letting movie theaters, including the Alamo Drafthouse, to do more special screenings for the Rocky Picture Horror Show. And both this year and last year, as I'm currently recording this, they did do special screenings for Disney Plus a weekend when they wanted to. Like, regarding what I think about him, speaking of which, last year, as I'm currently recording this, I only paid for the surprise screenings for Disney Animation, Pixar, and Star Wars. And when it comes to the Disney live action side of things, I did admittingly fear that they're going to play live action remakes of one of their classics. But when doing my own research of what they wound up screening of the day, thank God I was wrong regarding Disney live action surprise screening from last year. But if I were to be honest about the choice of movies that Disney would let AMC screen last year, well, while I find it nice to participate, to be able to see both Ride the Last Dragon and then Encanto once again, that if Disney were to do more special screenings on behalf of the animation side of things, then, Disney, if there's any Disney animation titles that deserve to be given more special screens, repertoire screens, or special screens in general for that matter, especially for Disney Plus Day weekend as well, I mean, Ride the Last Dragon and Encanto were both really good movies for their own right. Don't get me wrong about that. However, as you can probably tell, especially if you watch a lot of animation look back just as much as I do, or even more so either way if you're a Disney Plus user, they own a lot of content. I'm sure we can all agree that there are various other animated films from Disney's entire animation library they could have let movie theaters do more theatrical screenings of, like Snow White the Seven Dwarfs, Pinocchio, Fantasia, Peter Pan, Cinderella, Alice in Wonderland, Sleeping Beauty, The Jungle Book, The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King, Wreck-It Ralph, Tangled, The Princess and the Frog, Frozen, just name a few. But yeah. But regarding the decision of screening Monsters, Inc. for 2021, I'm happy to see that once again in theaters after participating in one repertory screening of it back in 2020 when movie theaters over here in Westchester County first were beginning to reopen after COVID hit. When it comes to Rogue One, while I bet we can all agree is the greatest Star Wars movie Disney has ever done ever since buying out Star Wars, I mean, it would be nice if we can all enjoy seeing the first 6 Star Wars movies on the big screen all over and over again. And regarding how my fall is this year, pretty good fall, especially to be a Marvel fanboy. Why would I say that? I mean, well, not only am I happy to see a new Black Panther movie coming out this fall as I'm currently recording this, but also I got to participate in theatrical screenings of some more older Marvel stuff as I did for the re-release for Spider-Man No Way Home. I did at my local draft house, luckily for me, as well as participate in a Black Panther double feature screening at the Alamo in Brooklyn. And when picking out which movies playing at the Palisades Mall during Disney Plus Day season I wanted to see, I knew I would be more dignified, let alone satisfied, with Thor Ragnarok. Because, let's be real here, the other movies that Disney would let AMC screen for Disney Plus Day season earlier this year, either I've gone far enough seeing too many times as much as I enjoy them, like with Encanto and Rogue One, or B, don't click with me personally, like with Newsies and Cars. That is, I'm talking, of course, of Thor Ragnarok, Because, up to that point in time in my life, when I got to see Thor Ragnarok on the big screen earlier this year, would be the first time in my life where I got to see an older Marvel title on the big screen that's not a Spider-Man movie. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Spider-Man and all, but, when it comes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I'm very well appreciative of it as it is, And while it is a shame that Disney is still playing things too harsh on the Alamo Draft House, on doing repertoire screens with whatever the first they get their hands on when they want to, both publicly and even more so privately, well, say you're looking for a dine-in movie theater over here in Westchester County where you can do private screenings of whatever the phrase they get their hands on, and you would like to say, if you're that desperate to find a dine-in movie theater here in Westchester County that, you can see all of your favorite movies to watch on Disney Plus on the big screen again, where it's a dinner theater environment, and yes, this includes things like Die Hard, as well as doing best specialty menu item fee screenings of movies that based on that you can watch at Disney Plus, whether it be Draft House recommend screenings of things like Isle of Dogs, whether it be Best Special Menu Item Fee screenings dedicate such brands like Disney, The Jungle Book, The Avengers, Spider-Man, Star Wars, and Isle of Dogs, or The Simpsons, or even do Best of the Year, or even Best of the Year fee screenings of movies like, I don't know, Atlantis the Lost Empire, Return to Neverland, Treasure Planet, Lilo and Stitch, or even any Wreck-It Ralph stuff or any Frozen stuff or whatever. Well, you do have Look in Dobbs Ferry. That is, if you're coming from Western County as much as I am. And to all my lovely Alamo folks watching this, don't get me wrong. I would rather be at the Alamo more so than I would any other movie theater that is used in the market all day, every day when I want to, both publicly and privately. But, I'll be honest here that as you can probably expect on community events in recent memory, that in terms of doing movie fee screenings, that sometimes I would be at the Alamo and sometimes I'd be at Look. I'll be honest here that the only reason why it all worked out that way, as much as I prefer being at the Alamo, I would say, I would always say, really, if anything, it would depend. If anything, the only reason why I would sometimes do, look, if anything, it all boils down to licensing issues. Well, in a nutshell, that, as much as I would prefer being at the Alamo, the only reason why I would sometimes do events that Look too when I want to is usually can boil down to licensing issues, and screening certain things I legally can't at the Alamo. As much as I prefer being at the Alamo any day, Of course, if there's anything I look forward to doing community events at the Alamo, well, having my own personal custom pre-shows, run 45 minutes, as well as, for some themed fee screenings like them, I get to serve some of my favorite specialty popcorns, like, the Alamo Draft House would most certainly undeniably the perfect place to do Best Special Menu Item Fee screenings based on DC Comics. And since Isle of Dogs is a Fox title and Fox is owned by Disney, this is where, if I did a stop motion feast, some folks who know me best can tell you of how much I love Aardman. And being as an Aardman fanboy, I will admit it would be a no-brainer that, that if I did an Isle of Dogs feast some sort at the Alamo today, that the closest of something like that would have to be a stop-motion feast screening of Chicken Run, where, I would serve up all of my favorite specialty menu items of Isle of Dogs while screening Chicken Run. Why that? I mean, Isle of Dogs, I will say, funny enough, would be my third favorite animated film of 2018, behind Ralph Breaks the Internet and Incredibles 2. However, like I was saying, I love most of my favorite stop motion animated works and movies would be from Aardman. And of course, when it comes to a movie like Chicken Run, this is what it says to be the first time Aardman would ever engage in working on feature films as we all speak. So, yeah. And there's also if I can be, and before I can finish off today's video, if I were to be really, really honest here, what the fridge I think about Bob Chapek, if I had a least favorite Disney CEO, it would be Bob Chapek. Why, a lot of stuff. So the only Disney CEO I enjoyed best was Michael Eisner, who would be my personal favorite? I mean, something I always enjoy about Eisner is, say what you want about him, but you can't deny that, even during the more quote-unquote tougher times he faced, he's not afraid to push a lot of risk and doing all he can to do what Walt himself would have wanted his company to be. I mean, there are some things from Iger and Chapek I do like, I will say. Like, I'm sure we can all agree that Iger definitely put the most care out of Pixar, I will say, and is responsible for help making the Marvel Cinematic Universe bigger and better, making Marvel movies great and age better, and yeah. And Chapek, I will say, he definitely helped us survive through COVID as best as he could, in spite of his flaws, and yeah. Though I am well aware as we speak that Iger is now back at Disney, which I do wish him well with what he does Disney. Hopefully he can fix whatever issues long-time fans of the company like myself would have with not only Chapek, but also some degree him too. But yeah. And I rest my case. Hope you all have a happy Thanksgiving, and thanks for watching.